Hello and welcome. My name is Orshi and this is gonna be a more in-depth review, an actual review of the deck, the Queen of the Moon, after I worked with it for a while. So this deck is published by Rockpool and the author is Stacy DeMarco, but the illustrator for the deck is King of Britschki. I mean, she's Hungarian, but she's living in the States, so I was very happy to see and to learn that there was some Hungarians involved with creating the deck. Everything that I'm going to say, good, bad, it's all just my opinion. It's not coming from a bad place when I wanna trash a deck. Not like my review is gonna be horrible. It's a very good deck, I think, if you don't want to watch it. But I have some things that I noticed, and the reason why I'm sharing this video is because for me personally it's very helpful when someone talks about a deck, not just when they got it, the first impression, but after a while that they work with, they know how the cards, how the deck performs in a reading. So I wanted to record my own experiences and share them, because maybe it will help you decide if you want this deck or not. Because I was hesitating or debating between two decks, this one and the other, the Moonology deck, and then I watched a walkthrough from Kelly, The Truth in Story, and she talked about more in depth in her first impression. I think that was her first impression walkthrough of, or it was just comparing the two decks, and that's how I could decide in the end that I wanted this one. So I have points. I'm gonna timestamp everything down in the description so you can check sections that you're interested in if you don't want to watch the whole thing. But if you do, thank you so much for watching, and comment on everything that I say if you disagree or agree, because like I said, I don't want to come across as someone who's so high and mighty and knows everything. It's just my little experience with the deck, that is all. But I kind of feel like I have to say it multiple times so people won't come for me. But let's start with the box itself. The box is a very sturdy Rockpool 2-piece box. It's easy to open it, especially because it has a thumb cut or whatever. I don't know how you open boxes that doesn't have that, and because there's sort of vacuum in the box when you close something like this, but this is a very nice sturdy box and it's easy to store, so I'm very happy with that. The cardstock itself is not, I think it's typical for, I'm assuming I have two Oracle decks now from Rockpool, and the only thing that I didn't like is that I think you can see there is a slide bow of the cards, and that was already when I got them. I can't show you from the side, but it's when you put it down for pictures, it kind of shows that one of the side is gonna come up, and I'm kind of doesn't like that, and it also makes it more easy to just slide off or just rotate when you're dealing the cards. It's not a big thing, but I think my favorite cardstock for Oracle decks is the Sacred Destiny type of cardstock. The finish is glossy, which I don't really mind actually. I mean, it's easy to shuffle, not triple shuffle because I have weak hands, so probably for someone who doesn't have small hand and not so strong, it's not a problem. For me, it's not that easy to shuffle. It wasn't edged like this. I edged my deck, but I think for these colors, because these are very saturated, I think that's the word, colors, the glossy finish actually works better. So I don't mind a glossy finish all the time. I'm not just for the matte cardstock all the time. So that's the, I made notes, so when I'm slowing down, it's just that I'm reading, so I wanna, be sure I say everything. Yes, that's for cardstock. Okay, now to more important, the cards. The back, actually this reminds me of the European Union's flag. It's not the same, I know, but you know, the yellow and the blue and the round shape just immediately reminded me of that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, just something that I have. But what's bothering me a bit, because I'm not going to say I have an OCD, because I know how horrible OCDs can be, and this is just not, you know, but bugs me is that it's not perfectly centered. So as you can see, I mean, the cards are borderless, so I'm not going to cut anything off, so it's not like, you know, I can't trim it. But this part is much thinner than this one, so it's not aligned. And I know that for some, you know, you don't even notice, but I don't know, I think the symmetry is just the lack of symmetry, it's bothering me a bit. But it's not the worst back. I'm not gonna say it's the favorite. I don't really like all these lines, but you know, that's completely personal taste, so it's not a problem too much. There are 44 cards, and they go through from the moon phases, I think, you know, like from the new moon to the full moon, all the cycles. So in the first 28 cards, and then there are the different moons like harvest and I can't remember any other moon right now, and there are some additional cards in the end. So it's a pretty good study deck, I think, for the moon phases. At least it could be, but I don't know if I'm actually going to study it that extensively. But you know, in theory it should be good for studying that. I have some favorites, so I'm going to start with that. For example, number 2, this is the new moon and the beginnings. And while I really like the card, because sometimes, you know, you need hope, and that card really represents that, yeah, you can start something that's much better than your current situation. So I really like that transition from the cold wintry to the spring. But I don't understand why the new moon is looking like a full moon, because the full moon, which is also one of my favorite cards, this has that, you know, full moon. And as much as I understand, I mean, this should be dark. So that was, you know, just something that I didn't really got, why the new moon looks like a full moon. It's okay, but you know, the keywords on most of the cards are very good. You know, you got power with this illustration, perfectly matching, so no problem there. Growth, on one of my other favorite. I really like not just the fact that, you know, she has roots, which takes time, but she actually holds a clock, you know, for dummies, that yeah, actual growth takes time, and you need to invest and accept that and be patient with it. And I really like that one. Fear was one that came up quite a lot in readings, actually, and I think it really shows well how unnecessary, or you know, how fear itself can be just something that's caging you, and how it seems so much bigger than it's probably in actuality is. And I kind of like, I mean, I don't necessarily like the yellow part of this one, but the rest of the card is really nice. Another one was beauty, which if you look at it from too closely at first, you don't realize that this is a face. But I kind of like the idea that, you know, you have to see the big picture, and beauty can be presented in different forms and shape that you might not even recognize at first. So that was one of my favorite ones. And it also not just talks about, you know, beauty as in how beautiful someone physically is, but, you know, more about how you should find beauty in your surroundings and in your nature, in nature, but your surroundings. And you know, you should surround yourself with beautiful things, and beauty is really a personal thing, so it can be anything. The unexpected, I mean, nothing more than a portal that's more inspected. But I kind of feel like more that the relationship that, you know, you might find support in unexpected situations that I really like. And the last one is peace, where, you know, she's meditating and creating this protective orb around her, which I really liked. So that was one of my favorite cards. Then I had a few where, okay, where's number 2? There were some similarities between cards. Like, for example, the New Beginning, which is one of my favorite ones, could be the same one pretty much as, okay, not exactly the same, but realization is kind of like the same idea, you know, stepping through a door. The difference is here you can more objectively say, even though winter is beautiful, that you're stepping into something new. So I can see that. But realization can be the same, you know, stepping from the darkness into the light. So that was kind of like similar. And the other two is balance and discernment, which works better for discernment, I think. But, you know, it's okay, one of them is an older lady with the holding the moon, I think, or just an orb. I think that's not the earth, it's the moon. And this is a younger one. But I mean, you can see it was kind of too similar for me, so I could appreciate it something more. And there are some cards where the meaning is just not there for me, you know. The guidebook says something, but with, for example, acceptance. The guidebook says, this is about accepting your current situation, and, you know, because you can only change things if you accept them first. But I don't get it with the two hands. For me, acceptance with two different skin colors would be accepting others for their uniqueness, even though it kind of looks like the same hand, or maybe not, just, you know, too similar the position. So I was expecting, you know, a different meaning from it, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you have to decide how you will read it, you know, guidebook wise or illustration wise. The other one was boundaries, which obviously there's a girl, she has a glass orb or whatever it's called, dome, protecting her, but the card is talking about setting up boundaries and, you know, protecting yourself. But then why is it that this little flower can so easily shatter it? Is it trying to talk about letting in beautiful things, or that something so light can shatter your boundaries so easily? I don't really understand, and there was nothing in the guidebook to provide more information on the actual illustration, which was kind of a bummer. And the last one, because there wasn't a lot, is trust, which should be trusting that you're protected. And I wanted to, but I forgot to open my own notes because that's easier. But is this, yeah, I'm gonna check mine because, so yeah, I went through the whole guidebook and made notes, and that's how I, you know, I don't just read through the guidebook, I actually go through it and make notes, so I can be more fair, I guess, in my assessment. Yeah, this is the egg moon, and it's about trusting yourself and developing self-trust, and you need to start carefully planning for the future, knowing that your decisions are valid, and this will give you security. Now, I do not see anything like that. Like I said, what I started to say, I thought that, you know, trusting that you're protected and blah blah, that's not even in the card. So trusting your own decisions, I don't see that from these two hugging persons in an egg. So there were some misses in illustration and meaning wise for me in the cards, but they are not that bad and not a lot, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. Just, you know, keep in mind that you might need to check walkthroughs before picking up a deck. If you're like me, if you know anything like this matters, but I think the deck is still good. So guidebook. The guidebook, why is it? They're selling ice cream. How unfair is that? The guidebook is beautiful in the sense that it's fully colored. You have you have a picture, a colorful picture of the cards, so you can carry this one around if you want to study the cards itself. You don't have to carry the deck with you. Some people do that. I don't leave my home if I don't have to, and I'm just fine studying these at home, but I know that for some it might be a good thing. Now there is a table of contents, so you can easily find your moon in the book. There are how to use them and some spreads. Now there are basic, you know, I wasn't really that much impressed with either the 4 elements, because I heard about the traditional 7 cards, but I never heard about it. It doesn't seem that useful, to be honest. The full lunar cycle spread is just decorate your table with all the cards and then draw 3 to actually address the question, and I don't need to do the whole shebang. I mean, that's just me, I wouldn't, but I appreciate that some would just, you know, put it out and look at the whole cycle, which can be useful, I agree, but I don't know how it adds to the actual reading that you put all the 28 cards on the table, especially because after that you're limiting yourself to just a bunch of cards to pull as an answer. What I liked was the seasonal spread, because it gives you a timing indication to a question. So one is what is positive about the situation, which, you know, sometimes you feel there's nothing, so this can be good. What's the blockage, what's hindering you to moving forward, and the timing of the when it's, you know, going to happen, or when you should expect changes regarding your question. And you're supposed to use the cards from 29 till 40, which gives you each card for each month, and those are the harvest moons and egg moons, you know, or those special moons with special names like snow, warm moon, flower moon. And these moon names, I think they were not changed, but they are, she doesn't use the ones that I found when I googled the moons. I forgot, but there is some, she mentioned it somewhere, because I read the whole book, but I can't find it, of course, right now. Yeah, I thought it was here, but anyway, so, but you know, you can make notes. I made notes that which moon is the traditional moon name. So let's see, I think I did. Yeah, for example, the hot moon, which is the extremes in June, is the strawberry moon, and the thunder moon is the buck moon. The green corn moon is the sturgeon moon. So I made notes to, you know, be able to tell which moons are used in, I guess, commonly, and which is directed or related to her system, which I don't want to say where she get the names, because I don't want to say anything that's, you know, incorrect. Next up is the how it pairs with other decks. So why I actually started to play with this combination was because I put up the perfect pairings video and I was trying to guess which deck this would work well with, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting it to work so well. I mean, that well, how it actually performed, but the Deviant Moon, I'm not kidding. I mean, both are colorful. They use saturated colors. I think that's the term for how you say that. And they just look so well on the table, and they can give very, very good readings. So Ace of Pentacles, Acceptance. I mean, if I forget about anything that I said, previously with problematic cards, for me, you need to accept the opportunity. There's discernment with the Seven of Pentacles. So as you can see, the messages are quite clear. They and the deck, the cards look really nicely next to each other. At least for me, this was a very, very nicely working pair, so it's actually a perfect pair. Now, what I also thought about pairing with, because I'm mostly, I forgot to say that I will be using this deck during my winter season, winter season. And my other winter decks right now are the Shadowscapes. This is a trimmed version. I trimmed mine because I had the Hungarian one with the much bigger, not much bigger, but I think it's significantly bigger artwork, but the Hungarian titles were bothering me. So, but as you can see, the colors are quite similar. It might be the Fool and Darkness. Oh, such a good pairing. It might be too busy for some, because I know that some people just, can't look at busy cards and see anything in them, because it's not how they work. So you need to be mindful if you're planning on pairing this, that if you're bothered by Two of Cups and the Void, a lot of details, then you might not want to change on Lovers. Pair these two together, but the Empress and the Emperor, and no, it's the King of Pentacles, sorry. King of Pentacles, is it? Or either the King of Pentacles or the Emperor. I'm gonna say the Emperor. I haven't worked with this deck for a while, with Abundance, but I really like the pairings. So I think this will work nicely. I'm going to check them when next winter comes. And I also have the Heaven and Earth Tarot, which I think would be a nice pair, because it has a much more cooler, more relaxed tone, purity, and High Priestess. This talks about your intentions, that you need to focus on doing whatever you're doing for the right reasons. And what's better than the High Priestess for that? The Sun and Patience. This card talks about enjoying the ride, not just the destination. And with the Sun, you need to enjoy your current moment, because it's all part of the journey and it's changing. So yeah, like I said, these two, Peace Creation, this is also talking about, setting up plans for the future, making the strategy, I hate that word. So this seems to be working very nicely. I think visually they fit very well. So with Justice and Power, I don't think I need, I'm gonna leave them here so you will be able to look at them while I finish. So the pairings are done. The next question was how unique this is in my collection, and could I replace it? So my collection is growing, though not that rapidly, and I'm more focusing on other seasonal decks right now, so I don't really have other winter themed oracle decks at the moment. It doesn't have to be a winter themed deck, I just kind of feel like it is. I don't really have a moon oracle. I mean, like I said, I was deciding between the Moonology and this one, and I picked this one. I think the keywords are working so much better and more diverse than the other one. I really like the other deck, aesthetically, but I like that more aesthetically than this one, but I like the keywords on this one as well. So this is a very good deck, and I think I'm not going to replace it right now. It's gonna be, I can't say the only, because I can't remember. Sacred Destiny is another winter oracle deck that I'm gonna use, and I have a few more darker, oracle decks. But for a more balanced and just general oracle deck, I think I'm going to keep this as, as my winter deck, because I don't have anything else, and I don't have another moon one, so right now it's staying. And how my initial impression changed. I definitely have a better understanding of the deck because I went through the guidebook. So if you pick up this deck, I definitely think that you need to, not need to, but you should read through the guidebook, because it can help you a lot. I won't be able to remember everything, but it's nice that I have my notes, and I can refer back and just see the quick lines that I made when I start working it with again. You don't have to use the workbook, because you have like growth, fear, those universal keywords that can be read easily in a reading. So I think my initial impression was that it's gonna be a good study deck for moon phases, and I think it could be, but I'm not entirely sure, because maybe it's too much information in a way that there's a card for every single day of a moon cycle, and for me, bigger energies and shorter more extended period of times, that works better. So for me, might not be the best one to study moon phases, because right now I just want to be able to understand what the full moon means, what a waning moon means, and the new dark moon, just the four big ones. But if you're thinking about detailed study, it might work, so you should check it out for that. But yeah, that was how this deck actually works for me. Hope it was useful. Please let me know if you have any category that you think I should add in these reviews. What do you think about the deck? What your experience is? If it's contradicting mine, please tell me why, because I'm very much interested in learning from your experiences as well. And if you have a similar video, please link me to it. Other than that, thank you so much, and have a lovely day. Bye.